roll. All right, fantastic. All right. My name is Jordan Sturgill, otherwise known and preferably referred to as Big Cheese, and this is...
My name is Andrew Mack. Our topic is beauty pageants, and we are now open for discussion. Okay.
What do you mean by beauty pageant?
So it's essentially like it's a contest, usually women, and it centers around like picking out like a dress and stuff, and doing some of the makeup and going out and showing off, like who you are. And of course, it usually consists of some other things like answering a question and or a talent, so things like that.
Can you tell me some history about beauty pageants? When did they come about? When were they, when was the first one? How they grew in popularity?
Yeah, I know they started in America in the 1890s, and they became popular in the 1920s, I believe. You should have some specific
I
information.
have a more in-depth and concise history of beauty pageant. All right, so it kind of the way back roots. It's a European tradition of towns would select a May Queen on May Day, and it was just somebody who kind of embodied the values of that town and whatnot. But it moved up. That was still a tradition in America up to 1700s, late 1700s, and then mid-1800s, 1854, an entrepreneur named P.T. Barnum, Phineas Taylor, I believe, Barnum, decided that he would start a beauty pageant, and it was received with much criticism. It didn't continue much past 1854 because everybody was kind of freaked out by it. But in 1921, the first Miss America started. It was held in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and it was a tourist kind of thing. They wanted more tourism in Atlantic City. It kind of grew a little bit. It was still generally considered something it wasn't mainstream, and it wasn't quite a respectable sort of event. But in Texas, they had something called the Big Splash event, which was a small beauty pageant in an island off the coast of Texas. From that arose the International Pageant of Pulchritude, which now is the Miss Universe sort of thing. Picked up more popularity post-World War II, after it died out for a little bit. And now there's a Miss Universe organization which controls most of the structures of things, and they have a few contests. So, yeah.
Do you know the difference between Miss America and Miss USA?
I do not.
That is one.
Do you know that in your research, have you found that different pageants have different goals?
They're remarkably similar in their goals, just to kind of find a person, sort of the May Queen idea that is a certain values.
Okay, so you suggested that the May Queen was somebody who embodied certain values, so why do we call it a beauty pageant then? Beauty certainly implies something external, values implies something internal, so...
That's the collective value of our nation, I would suppose.
Is beauty?
That's something that we put emphasis on.
Okay.
So I have a quick question. Many of them are called scholarship opportunities. Do we have are there any statistics that indicate how many of these scholarships are awarded? What are the fields of study? Are they used? Because scholarships can oftentimes be awarded and then they're never used. Do you have any background information on the scholarship aspect of them?
I do not.
Neither do I.
Well, and as you all sit up there, and I don't want to misread your facial expressions or your attitude, but it appears be a little bit sarcastic up there. So could you tell me a little bit about why you chose this particular topic and what is your particular attitude toward beauty pageant?
Okay, so you want like what
Your
we
personal
think, or-
opinion on beauty pageants, and then why you chose this particular topic to research.
Okay, so with my opinion on beauty pageants, I think I don't really have any like defining issues or something of the sort with like adult beauty pageants. I do think that with like child beauty pageants that maybe like they should wait until they're older, because I think it can maybe like just develop like insecurities in children and such, and maybe like make them think too much or worry too much about like their figure and stuff. We chose it simply because we couldn't do Africanized bees. But,
So it came down to
Sure.
Africanized bees or beauty pageants.
yeah.
Africanized bees was our original idea. We did some research on that for 3 or 4 days, and then we got a bomb dropped on us that Miss Kett couldn't quite find enough people who were interested in being our panel discussers on Africanized honeybees, which is a problem. It is a real problem that we face today. At that point, I was kind of indifferent to what we chose to talk about. I don't like talking about serious topics. I can very rarely treat anything too seriously if I'm speaking about it. This felt like something that would be a lot lighter, and it turned out not quite as light as I thought it would be. Again, as he said, the child beauty pageants are a bit much. I feel like they need to be at least more regulated, if not, I know France banned them recently. I mean, do you want my opinion specifically on child beauty pageants?
Well, I'm looking at beauty pageants in general, and it is a big spectrum. And there are a number of differences in them, and I'm not quite sure you're familiar with the differences in them, so I want to hear you talk about what you are versed in.
All right. Well, yeah.
So what do you feel about child beauty pageants?
Child beauty pageants. It's not the children competing most of the time. It doesn't seem that way. What is most remarkable and most applicable to that statement, that it's not the children competing, is there is a category in child beauty pageants of 0 to 11-month-olds. Now, most 0 to 11-month-olds don't particularly think about anything other than when they're going to eat and whether or not they're feeling sleepy. So I'm not certain it was their decision to be in a child beauty pageant more than the parents. And I think it's the parents competing all the way through, because they have a certain amount of control over what the children are practicing, and usually the parents feel that they need to coach them. It doesn't seem like something, I'm sure there are some kids out there that are like, yes, this is something I want to do. But I feel like the majority of the time it's the parents that are pushing the kids in this direction, and it can be harmful.
Other than your experience as researchers and sort of outside observers, have you all been to pageants, or what is your personal experience with pageants and those who compete?
I've been to none.
I have 0 personal experience.
Okay.
Why do you think people watch them?
Well, I personally can't relate to people that watch them, but I imagine people that participate in themselves would watch them, similar to, like I would watch soccer stuff because I'm a soccer player. So I think people who have that hobby would be interested in watching others and maybe learning something from it. I can't speak as to why someone on the outside would watch that.
I'd say the same thing, really. Just not all. It's not something that specifically appeals to me, but I'm sure it does to other people.
You've mentioned some of the negatives of beauty pageants. Are there any positives to beauty pageants at all?
Well, similar to a lot of things where it's like, you know, they have like psychological effects, like on the other side of it. And I think it's mainly because like people, like adults who go into it have a certain level of confidence and they're secure in themselves, and it can act as a confidence booster and such. So there are positive aspects in that, like maybe becoming more outgoing if you struggle with shyness. You have your confidence to take on other challenges in life. So those would be some pros to it.
Yeah, the overwhelming thing that I found in research is that most people who go into it already with a level of confidence feel that it builds confidence and teaches contest skills, how to be in front of a crowd and kind of present yourself, how to compete in general, how to make practice and discipline and all that, just contest skills in general. So yeah.
Are you familiar with any people who have participated in beauty pageants and that has helped launch a career or help them in later success in life?
I know, I can't think of specific names. I know when I was reading about it and stuff, like it was talking about how it was a mother recounting, like with doing it with her daughter, and how she had done it before, and how it helped her because she was shy and stuff, and it helped her become more outgoing. And with her daughter, she was already outgoing, so I guess she was perfectly in her element with it. But the mother herself, you know, it helped her develop those attributes. I can't think of any prominent figures, though, that have had this experience.
Are there any prominent figures currently that have connections to beauty pageants that you can think of?
I don't have any names.
Neither do I.
Did you find reasons why someone might enter a pageant?
Well, probably for the platform, not for money, certainly, because the winner usually ends up spending more than they get from the prize. So definitely for the platform and the publicity you would get from winning the pageant.
What type of stipulations are on the pageants for you to be able to enter?
I mean, they have a preliminary round where you, some of them, if they're a little bit more kind of impersonal, you send in a picture and a written form about yourself. Other ones, you actually go and you have an interview with somebody. So it's not like I know that, I think the age cap is like 27 or 26, something around there.
Can you be married or have to be
I
single?
think they have different ones. If you're married, it's like a Mrs. competition. If you're single, it's a Miss.
And there usually is like a paid entry fee sort of thing.
Have you done any research on transgender contestants and the controversy surrounding those participants?
Did you?
I did not.
Are you familiar with pageants for men?
There are some. There are some for younger boys that's still called a beauty pageant. I don't know any specific names, but I know that held as an equivalent for men is like a bodybuilding competition, which they have those for women as well that aren't just beauty pageants. But that's usually what is considered the equivalent.
Do you think in today's society that the name beauty pageant is an appropriate name for the contest?
Well, I mean, I would say that it is what it is. Now, of course, there are other things to it, like I especially noticed, like when I was looking at the teen things, there's actually a bigger emphasis on like a talent portion and stuff like that. But you know, with adults and stuff, you know, it's primarily like, you know, it's about the beauty aspect. You know, you pick your dress, you do the stuff with your hair. It's about looking presentable the best you can, and a beauty pageant is exactly what it is. So I would say it's fine.
I would say a good deal of it could be called a performing pageant. That's a, I guess, a weird word that you would tack onto like a title. But a lot of it is performing, it's acting. I'm a musician, so when I play music, you're supposed to perform as well. And that sort of, and a lot of people will say, oh, that guy is so good over there. And a lot of times it's a skilled musician, yes, but they think they're good more specifically because they're performing, they're moving, they're showing emotion. And that sort of applies. Yes, people who are in a beauty pageant can be beautiful and are beautiful, but they also are performing, they're acting, they're moving, they're kind of presenting themselves as a performer.
How does someone who may be beautiful, yet their talent lies in chemistry or mathematics, how do they demonstrate those talents?
I don't believe they have a portion for that.
They don't.
So those people are just not eligible?
I mean, I imagine they'd be eligible, but they'd have to compete in sort of a different field, I suppose.
Their talent portion, they would have to come up with a different talent portion, is that what you're saying?
Some of them don't have talent portions. Specifically, talent. That's usually a category that is brought up. But they have like they've got a lot of different clothing things, and that is the majority of the categories are. And then there's a talent portion, and there's the final question in most the way they're structured. But some of them don't necessarily have a talent portion. A lot of it's interview, which I suppose that could reflect those skills. There's an interview portion of a beauty pageant. Sturge, you got any?
Why do you think this swimsuit competition has been so controversial?
Well, obviously, you know, it has to do with sexuality, especially with, like, you know, when you're doing like child beauty pageants. That's especially where they come under fire, because it's like, you know, you're emphasizing sexuality in their lives like so early and stuff. And of course, it becomes like they're more revealing now, of course, than they were in the past as well. And that's where the controversy really stems from, and it mainly goes with the child parts. So the child part's understandable. I don't really personally don't really care too much about the adult part. I don't know what you think about that.
That's about the same.
Yeah.
Well, picking up on some earlier questions, and to get back to mine about whether it's an appropriate name, let's hypothetically say that there was a pageant out there whose stated mission was to provide scholarship opportunities for young women as an opportunity to fund their education. And so we're going to have a talent portion so that they show they're well-rounded. We're going to have an interview portion so that they can think and speak well. We're going to have an evening gown portion to show that they're poised and they can present themselves well, confidence. And we'll have a bathing suit section to show that they are healthy, well-rounded, can maintain self-control over their bodies and keep that in shape. Would that be an appropriate use of a bathing suit competition?
Well, I feel that when it comes to like scholarships sort of stuff, I feel like really that should be focused on like the interview portion. I don't think like the bathing suit portion really hold any relevance whatsoever to that, in my opinion.
feel like for scholarship opportunities, perhaps a talent show would suffice. More heavily